So today, guys, we have the Mazda CX-30. Now, Mazda sent me the keys to this specific vehicle for about 4 days. So this is gonna be a real thorough, more detailed, in-depth review. So if you guys wanna know every single detail about this CX-30, everything about the exterior, the interior, and obviously see what it's like to drive, be sure to watch this video all the way through because I promise you it's gonna have everything you've ever wanted to know about this car. But let's go ahead and get started. What is up, everyone? So let's go ahead and check out the 2020 Mazda CX-30. Now, if you guys have never heard of the CX-30, here's a quick summary. This fits right in between the CX-3 and the CX-5 size-wise. Personally, I think that this should replace the CX-3 because I think this is the better vehicle versus the CX-3. I think this will just butcher CX-3 sales because I would easily rather have this over the CX-3 any day. Now, this is going to be fully decked out, so this is the premium package, and this is going to have every single option, including this Soul Red crystal metallic paint, which is, I think, one of the best reds in the car industry. You can see just from right here how much contrast it has from here and then in the shadows. That contrast is so defined, and it's more so in this paint than any other red I think I have ever seen. It looks great at all angles during the day. It looks fantastic. At night, it gives it this dark, almost like blood red, close to black look. And it's a real versatile paint coat. And I think that if you like to detail your car, you're gonna really enjoy this. Now, as we come to the front of the CX-30, this is gonna look basically the same as everything else in the Mazda lineup. You've got that big forward, just dominant grille, and this is going to be part of Mazda's Kodo design language, and basically what that means is soul of motion. So the whole point is to make the car look beautiful, make it look like it's flowy and moving even at a standstill. But as you come down here, I do like how the grille has this nice like black mesh going on right here, and it is gloss, so I do like that it's not like a flat black. So if you really get in there, clean that up, it's gonna look really nice, real sparkly. You've got your big Mazda emblem that's gonna house a lot of your radars. You got this big chrome piece that's gonna run under the headlights all the way down, boom, right over here. Then the headlights. The headlights I hate and love. I love the fact that they're full LEDs. They look great. They look good at night. They're bright. You can see plenty far ahead of you with these lights, and they have adaptive lighting, so they'll turn left and right with the steering wheel. The thing I don't like is the halo around it isn't as accentuated as, let's say, the Mazda 3. So with the Mazda 3, you have that outer ring that's just illuminated during the day, and it makes it look super aggressive, super mean. I wish this had that. This has kind of the same situation as the CX-5, where the ring and your headlight is like on all the time as your daytime running light, and I don't think that's the best way to go about it personally. But let me know what you guys think. Vote up here. Would you rather have the outer ring illuminated or the whole thing? All right, now as we come to the front portion, first of all, you can see all of that black cladding. Now, according to Mazda, they did that much cladding so that it makes this portion look shorter, and it makes you focus on all the lines and everything going right here, which I'll get to in a second. But either way, you have a ton of black cladding. So it's either good or bad thing. In person, it's not as horrible as video makes it look, but from this angle, it looks pretty bad. But I also think the wheels are not a good choice. I think the wheels could be a lot better, maybe similar to what you have on a CX-5, the like machined look. They're just very basic, and they're wrapped in these like Bridgestone Turanza tires. And yeah, there's nothing super special going on here. I do think that a better wheel design will hopefully come in the future, but we'll just have to wait and see about that. Now, as we move back, here's one thing I really like, and it's this line that goes from the hood all the way down there. And from the side, it makes it look like someone like drug their finger through some paint. It's actually a compliment. It looks really cool and it's really unique. And there's not a physical line there. It's just slightly bent metal, and that creates this reflective feature on the bodywork, and it's really cool because you can see as I move around, the light moves with the paint coat, and it's really, really cool. So when you're driving and this thing's all cleaned up, it looks awesome. Okay, back of the CX-30 now, there is one thing I want to point out that's really interesting. So this part right here sticks out like really far, which is interesting. I mean, it does translate to a little bit more storage space, which may be why they did it, but from the side, it just kind of has a real funky look. Now, as we come to the lights, I do like the way that they look during the day because they're very detailed, very sculpted into the body. You guys can see there. And you have this like upper blade part right here, which maybe you guys can see that. But it's actually a pretty cool taillight design, and obviously it's full LED, so at night it looks really good. I think the rear taillights are what I would have wanted in the front as a daytime running light. I think it would have matched better, but either way, the back they did a great job on. You got your CX-30 badge here, Mazda badge, and then your Sky Active G badge right there. All right, you guys, so here's your key for the Mazda CX-30. This is their new key design, and it looks really nice. You got your Mazda symbol here, some flat black, and then you have your buttons located right here on the side, your lock, your unlock, your hatch release, and then your panic. And you also have a physical key inside here that you can get out to get into the car if the battery on this were to die or if the battery on the vehicle were to die. Now, if we move over here to the door, you have touch sensitive areas. Put your finger over that. That's gonna lock it. There's a touchpad behind here. That's gonna unlock it. Okay, so stepping inside the CX-30 now, the interior is like a black and chocolate brown interior. It looks pretty good. Now, starting at the door, I do like the door design. So the top materials are going to be soft touch right here. You've got this chocolate brown going right here with some stitching on top of that. This aluminum piece is going to fold into the door handle. Very, very solid. You're going to have a Bose emblem there for your Bose speaker located here. Piano black here. This is going to be sort of like a floating console design, so you can see my hand goes all the way through there. Window controls, mirror controls, this floating area right there, which looks pretty good. So let me get right there so you guys can see that. Door pockets are pretty big. You can fit a good sized bottle in here. And then looking back, you are going to have these CX-30 floor mats, which are an accessory. Obviously seating controls. The leather quality is really soft, very thick. You've got this sort of like light tan, maybe chocolate brown stitching right there. Perforations all throughout the middle. It's going to run all along the inside of the seat. Let's go ahead and hop in and we'll check out the rest. Okay, so shutting the door. Pretty solid shut without this. Let's go ahead and take this out. Okay. There we go. More solid shut. Now here's a wider look at the interior for you guys before I start the car. And to start, it's very simple. Foot on the brake, and you're going to hit that button there to start. That's all there is to it. So looking at the steering wheel, very simple wheel. Obviously just really nice quality leather all the way around here. Aluminum pieces all around the wheel. And it's a little bit on the thin side, which you either hate or love. I personally like a little bit thicker of a wheel. But looking at the controls, all the controls are very tactile. They feel very good. Volume, all of your media commands to the right. All of your cruise control settings over here to, media to the left, cruise control to the right. This does have adaptive cruise. Automatic lights right behind here with your rear wiper located right there. You guys can see that working. There we go. Over to the left, you're going to have automatic lights, and then you're going to have your automatic high beam right on the edge. So that button right out there is your automatic high beams, and you do have paddle shifters back here as well. Now, using these buttons, let's go ahead and take a look at this screen. You have a digital display in the middle, so you can see the little box around the ring in the middle, and then to the left, to the right, those are physical gauges. So hitting that info button, I can scroll through, see like average MPG, see my adaptive cruise, change it to just a normal looking needle, and that's pretty much going to be it. So basically 3 different things you can scroll through, which is pretty nice. And obviously tack to the left, you're going to have your water temp and then your fuel over to the right. Then on the outside, you do have your interior illumination located right here. Trip reset located right over there. If it'll focus. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Now over here, you're going to have this button which is new, so you can see this little off-road button. We're going to use that whenever we take it driving, and it basically remaps the all-wheel drive to make it more off-road capable. And then you can adjust all of your sensors, safety systems right there. Memory seats, so let me go ahead and open this door so you guys can see this a little bit better. Memory seats located right there, and then below your memory seats you are going to have this little bitty pocket right here, as well as the button here to open your liftgate. Now as we come up, you do have another speaker located right here, more of that chocolate brown. The whole thing just flows all around you right there, and it looks beautiful. It's all soft touch. You are going to have your head-up display located right here. You can barely see it, but here's a better B-roll clip, so thank goodness for the power of editing. Then as we come over here to the right, you have your screen, which isn't a touch screen, so I can't touch it or do anything like that. You do have Apple CarPlay, so if I hit this little dial to the right, boom, that'll turn on CarPlay for me. So you guys can see that right there. And the screen itself is in a pretty good sight, so if I'm looking right here, you guys can see it's not in my field of view in like a bad way. So I just glance right over here, boom, I can see what I need to see, and I can still see the road. So I have the camera right at eye level where I would be looking. So hopefully that gives you guys a better sense of what this system is like. And it's pretty simple to control. So obviously you have Apple CarPlay apps right there that I can go through to my settings, adjust all kinds of different things like my displays, my sound settings, and then go through my vehicle settings, and I can see all kinds of different things. Pretty much it for that screen. Then as we come down, you've got your vents flanking each side of this center area, which is pretty cool. You've got this aluminum piece which is going to run all the way over here. You are going to have your vents located there as well. I just like the entire dash setup, and once again I love how this whole brown goes all the way across. It just looks beautiful. It's a beautiful interior. Dual zone climate control located right here. Right below that you're going to have your heated seats, 3 settings. Right behind there you are going to have a little area back here. So if I move this back, I've got my phone there. You're going to have my wallet, and then you have a USB right there for Apple CarPlay. So a little bit of extra storage space there. Bottle holders can obviously fit bottle right there, but it does kind of get up into that, so you guys can see it hit the heated seats. So if you have a tall drink, which most people won't have one this tall, then that'll happen. You've got your shifter, really nice quality shifter. I mean, look at this thing. You've got this aluminum or metal here to the side, which feels very convincing. I don't know for sure if it's real or not. And then you have leather here, and it's just a really solid shifter. And just like in motorsport, pull back to upshift, push forward to downshift, the best way to do it. And when you go ahead and put this in reverse, you do have your backup camera that comes up. And I do wish the quality was better. It's pretty small, and on top of that, it's a little bit on the grainy side, but it does have rear cross traffic alert and things like that, and the lines do not move with the steering wheel. Now right beside that, you do have your sport mode. Push up to turn it on, pull back to turn it off. A very satisfying click, and it'll just say sport right there, boom, and then it'll turn off. Right behind that, you have your electronic parking brake, automatic brake hold, your little controller to control the screen. This is the only way you can control the screen because it's not a touch screen. Navigation, back, home, and then music, volume commands, push that to turn the just stereo completely off. Favorites menu, and then I don't know if you guys can see this, but you have this interesting like carbon fiber sort of weave going on through here, and it looks very interesting. Hopefully I can get you guys a better look, but yeah, there you go. And I quite like it. You can barely see it even in person, so if you guys cannot see it on video, I do apologize, but you have to really look at it even in person to really tell it's there. Unfortunately, I wish they would have made it a little bit more noticeable because it does look really cool. Now as you come back, you have this beautiful armrest. It's absolutely gorgeous. The leather quality is so smooth, so supple, so soft. Stitching there in the middle, and then when you pull this back, it'll slide back, lift up, and underneath here you have storage space. You have a USB, you have a 12 volt right there. You're gonna have a decent amount of space, and you have this little divider right here. if you need it, but I do quite like that a lot. Glove box down here. It is not lockable, unfortunately. And then as we come up, you do have an auto dimming mirror as well as a sunglass holder right up here. LED lights. Your moonroof, which is beautiful, giant, beautiful moonroof. And then you are gonna have your visor here with an LED light located right up top. Pretty much it for the front. Let's go ahead and check out the back seat. Okay, so coming to the back seat of the CX-30. Now, being 6 feet tall, I don't have a lot of room back here at all. My feet are actually pushed into the seat. Now, if the person in front of me wasn't 6 feet tall, so this is set to my driving position, I could probably fit back here. I just need another about 2 inches, 2 to 3 inches or so. But my feet room is surprisingly good. So the seat sits up pretty high, so I can put my feet underneath here, no issues. Right here, you're gonna have some vents. You don't have any USBs or anything like that back here. You have one mat pocket. And then if you fold this down, you're gonna have your armrest, which is super nice and soft, 2 cup holders, which are very deep, and it feels just very secure and sturdy. Other than that, you've got a pretty good view of the front. I've got a grab handle here with a hook to put dry cleaning, shutting the door, super solid shut. And then you do have a little bit of cubby space down here at the bottom. Door materials are pretty decent. You don't have any super hard plastics. And that's pretty much gonna be it for the back. The hump is a little bit tall, but you can still fit a 3rd passenger. So let's go ahead and see what's in the trunk. Okay, so coming to the trunk of the CX-30. Now there's a button here, you push that. It is electronic, so that is a good thing, but it is a little bit on the slow side. And the other thing is that being 6 feet tall, if I come under here, I have a good amount of room, but if you are a little bit taller, you may end up bumping your head on this because this is the highest that it can go. You've got 2 buttons here, one to close and lock. You've got this cargo cover back here, and you've got a decent amount of room back here. Now, obviously, if you fold the rear seats down, you have even more storage space back here, but you can easily fit a ton of, like, let's say, paper towels and toilet paper, since that's the new standard of trunk space nowadays. Lifting this up, you're going to have a spare tire and a Bose speaker right back here for your sound system. So this is going to be your sub right back here. You have a jack and all the things you would need to change your tire. So that is pretty nice. You have an LED light back here, and that's pretty much going to be it for the back. Let's go ahead and see what's under the hood. All right, so coming under the hood of the CX-30, this is Mazda Skyactiv G 4-cylinder engine. Now, what Skyactiv basically is going to have to do with is compression and then the way the fuel goes into there. So the compression on this is about 13:1 compression, which is pretty high, but amazingly this can still run off of just lower quality fuel. Now in Europe, this is actually a 14:1 compression, at which point this does require premium gas if you live in Europe. The other thing is that this is made it to a 6-speed automatic. You don't have anything more than 6 gears, which, as you guys will see in just a second, isn't really the best thing. And then you're making 186 horsepower, 186 pound-feet of torque. And this is available in all-wheel drive or front-wheel drive. We have the all-wheel drive version. So let's go ahead, get on the road, and see how it does. Okay, so driving around in the Mazda CX-30. Now, the first thing you notice about this car is it feels more expensive than it is. It has a good layout. It's simplistic and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful car for what you're paying. Now, obviously this one being fully decked out around 30 grand, that's a decent amount of money, but if you think about everything that you get, it's actually not astronomical by any measure. I think that's a fair amount for everything that you're getting in this vehicle. The one thing I do want to point out is the suspension. The rear suspension on the Mazda 3 is torsion beam. And when you go to the all-wheel drive setup, it looks different. Same situation on the CX-30. So for those of you wondering, for a fact, this is torsion beam in the rear. So here is a view of the Mazda 3 with its torsion beam. Here's a view of the CX-30 with the torsion beam setup. And then here's a view of the CX-30 with torsion beam, but with the all-wheel drive setup, so you can see all of the extra mechanical bits used to make this all-wheel drive. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and you don't notice it from the driver's seat. It doesn't feel any less comfortable. As a matter of fact, this feels more comfortable than a CX-3. miles more comfortable than a CX-30. And I really think that this should easily replace the CX-3, but Mazda says they're gonna keep selling the CX-3 and still keep the CX-30. In my personal opinion, if you're looking at the two, go CX-30. It's just a more comfortable everyday vehicle. Now the engine is where I start to have my issues. So this is the biggest negative. So be sure if you guys are looking at this car, you take note of this. The MPG. So I'll show you guys once I actually get to empty, but I'm at 26 miles till empty right now. And the reason I'm on 26 miles until empty is because I wanted to see how long I could go driving this, resetting the trip odometer, and see how many actual miles I can drive on one full tank of fuel. And I haven't even floored this car yet. To this point in time, I've had it for about 4 days, and I have not even gone full throttle on the accelerator. I've been driving pretty decently. I've gone at least half throttle, but I'll go full throttle in just a minute. But the reason I tell you guys this is because I'm at 260 miles, actually 260.2 miles, and I have 25 miles of range remaining. So you do the math there, and that's like low 20 miles per gallon on average for a tank, which is pretty bad. That's very low compared to what the EPA says. Now I am going to go ahead and floor it. So if we are in its drive mode and I just foot all the way down now, it kicks down very, very quickly. So they have tuned this to be very sporty, very responsive, but the downside is because this is only a 6-speed, you can't really take advantage of the fuel economy benefits that you would have with a vehicle that has more gears. And working with this 6-speed, right now cruising along, I'm at like 2,000 RPM almost, like right below 2,000 RPM, which is kind of high. Being in, let's see, what gear am I in? Being in 5th gear. So if I switch down to 6th, I'm at about 1,500, going about 45 miles an hour. And you know, it's just limitations of having a 6-speed. The 6-speed is great, so if I shift it into its automatic mode, downshift, I mean, it blips pretty well, and then the upshifts, they're good, they're quick. I mean, it's not like ZF torque converted auto fast, not by a long shot, but it's decent. Now, if I throw it into sport mode, leave it in drive, obviously you're sitting at a much higher RPM. So now I'm at around 2,600 RPM, which once again is very, very high. So if I floor it now, boom, it just kicks right down. So if you want to have fun in this, if you want to have an engaging, responsive experience, this gives you that. But if you go for the all-wheel drive model, that's really going to be at the cost of your fuel economy. So switching sport off, boom, it dropped down to right at 2,000 RPMs. And you know, that's pretty much the biggest negative that I've noticed about this car. The ride is good, the sound deadening is great, the sound system, this Bose sound system is incredible. It's so good, it has great clarity. The bass isn't like muddy, it doesn't rattle your door panels or anything like that, because the bass speakers are going to be located sort of in this area. The head-up display is crisp, it's easy to look at. You have large mirrors, so you can see plenty out of these mirrors. Blind spot monitor, great view out of the rear window back here, and everything falls right at hand. Now this controller right here is very easy to use. Mazda says it takes about 2 weeks to get used to it. It's been 4 days and I'm already completely used to it, and it's just really simplistic. And then once you hook it up to Apple CarPlay, which I'm on now, the corresponding buttons here on the touchpad down here, so navigation, back, music, and home, that all relates to this. So if I hit music down here, you guys can see my music comes up here. If I hit navigation here, boom, it'll take me to Waze. There we go. And it's easy to use. It's great. I love the dials, climate control, heated seats. I do wish it had cooled seats, but that's not a massive deal breaker. And I did drive this a little bit in the rain, so we had a little bit of rain come down over here in the Laguna Niguel area. And I mean, this gives you such confidence when driving in the rain. So it was a pretty big downpour for a little bit, and then it cleared up after about 25-ish minutes. And yeah, I mean, as far as driving impressions, it's very good. The steering feedback is nice and light, yet it still has a decent amount of feel and just communication coming through it. And because this does have that G vectoring control plus, what that does is it makes the car feel very controlled whenever you're doing movements like turning, for example. So if I had an open drink, I can take a corner in this and I don't have to worry about my drink sloshing everywhere, just because the car has such a controlled way that it just moves all of its weight around, and it's very satisfying to drive. Once you try to push it, it starts to fall apart a little bit, just because this isn't meant to be like a go fast kind of vehicle. But for what it is, it's easily the most luxurious feeling, one of the best riding, and one of the most engaging when it comes to just a good, solid, everyday driver. But let's go ahead and see how this drives at night. All right, you guys, so I want to kind of show you driving around the CX-30 at night. So first of all, if I turn on these lights, boom, these are super bright lights. So the LEDs in here are very bright. It's only one light. If I turn on both, it definitely lights up the whole cabin for sure. So that is good. And then there's a button to obviously turn on all of the lights, at which point it is just super bright in here. So there's that. So that's good. Now, once the lights are off, you guys can see it gets kind of dark. Everything's lit up pretty well. So all of my buttons here are lit up. The screen is lit up very nicely. The gauge cluster behind my steering wheel is lit up very nicely. All the buttons down here where I shift, everything is well lit up. The only thing is I wish there was footwell lighting just to give you a little bit more brightness in the cabin. And then I wish there was a light down here in the storage pocket area, because it's just so dark, and since you put things down here, I'll have to turn this light on so you guys can see. Yeah, the storage pocket area. I wish there was a light down here so that I'd be able to see my things, because once this light is off, it's just a dark abyss. So those are a few things I do wish that they would have. Now, I did talk about the adaptive lighting, which you guys already saw when I did the walk around, and you guys can see it again here. So if I turn, you can see the lights are very quick to respond, and that's pretty cool. So hopping on the highway. Now I'm actually coming on this tollway. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and my wife and I are just kind of cruising around, and obviously it is dead empty. And the reason that's a good thing is because we can hear how this really sounds. There's no rattles, there's nothing like that going on in the car. Really gives you a good chance to hear how the car sounds as a whole. And it's beautiful. We've got some good views from where we are up here. And since we're so high up here, you have these warm street lamps, but other than that, it's pretty dark. High beams just turned on, automatic high beams, and obviously I can see everything in front of me with these high beams, so I'm sure my wife's doing a great job of capturing that. These lights, they do an incredible job. They are so good. And let's just take a second to appreciate this awesome view of all these lights as we crest this hill right now, because it's one of the coolest things ever. That is just beautiful. And then if I turn them off, you guys can see the difference right there. So that is high beams off, high beams on. It really makes a difference if you do live in more rural areas and you need to be able to see what's in front of you, especially if you're traveling like, 65, 70 plus. You want to have enough light in front of you to see if there's animals, see if there's like a skunk, see if there's a deer, see anything like that. And so that's the one thing I love about LED lights. Well, you guys, I think to wrap up my review of the CX-30, I think it's an amazing little car. I think for someone that wants something that feels more premium, if you want something that's comfortable, quiet, lots of great features, just good visibility at night. It's beautiful, especially in this Soul Red Crystal. This is a great choice. However, the downsides would have to go to fuel economy, because if you go for the all-wheel drive, it's really going to use up a lot more fuel than the EPA says, especially if you live somewhere like out here in California where you have a lot of hills. So other than that, comment below, let me know what you guys think of the CX-30. I do quite like it, but would you guys spend your money to get this over something like a Subaru Crosstrek or anything else in this competitive segment. Also, if you're new to my channel, subscribe, hit the bell if you guys want to see more of my content, and be sure to leave a like because that really helps me out a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.